So hi folks, Joette Calabrese here. We do this every Monday night, Eastern Standard Time at 8 p.m. And we usually go through my Materia Medica. Sometimes I veer away from that. Here's the Materia Medica. If you're interested, if you don't want my Materia Medica, you can get others' Materia Medica. There are, or own many of them. It's not a bad idea to own many Materia Medicas. You can get a free one. I wouldn't call it a one, but you can access Dr. James Tyler Kent's Materia Medica online. It's totally free. You just have to read it online. But I always urge folks to own Materia Medicas. At last count, I had about 41, 42, 43, something like that, Materia Medicas, all different authors, different perspectives. People I know many times when they're new to homeopathy expect that all Materia Medicas are going to say the same thing, report the same thing. But of course, if they were to do that, then there would be no point in owning a number of them and getting different opinions, because each author does have a slightly different bent. If they were doctors, and most of these Materia Medicas are indeed authored by medical doctors in Europe, and some were in the United States. Dr. James Tyler Kent, the one I just told you can have access to at no cost, was a medical doctor in Chicago, was very well known for American homeopathy. And each area of the world where homeopathy thrived, and it still thrives in many areas. It's actually thriving here in the United States these days. We're getting a lot of response to my numbers, when I look at what's happening on this Facebook Live and on my blog and responses in my emails, through my podcasts and blog, I think that we're really moving homeopathy along in the United States. And I want that to happen, because what happens here happens throughout the world in many subjects. So we want to keep it going and alive and well. So I give you this free information every Monday night, and I hope that you'll take your education further and teach it to yourself and to your children and to your grandchildren and anyone who's interested in learning, because this medicine gives us something that no other medicine can give us, and that is autonomy, hence freedom. Freedom from anxiety, freedom from worry. There was a time when I used to worry, what if someone in my family got the flu? What if someone broke their leg? Of course, I would certainly take someone to a doctor to get set. But what would I do about the pain? Because I wouldn't want them using pain medications. What would I do if my child got an ear infection? That was a big concern. I did not want them to have antibiotics. What would I do if? And I used to worry with my first child. But then when I found homeopathy, and I found other modalities before homeopathy, herbalism, essential oils, supplements, vitamins. I went to a chiropractor. I still believe in chiropractic. I think it can be very valuable. And I also believe very much in herbs. And so we're going to be talking about one tonight, not only as an herb, but as a homeopathic as well. And so tonight we're going to be talking about when the flu makes every bone in your body feel like it's breaking. That's when it's time to know this medicine. And the medicine is Eupatorium perfilatum. Eupatorium, E-U-P. It's going to be written out, I'm sure. Natalie's going to be doing that for us now. E-U-P-A-T-O-R-I-U-M. And perfilatum, P-E-R-F-O-L-I-A-T-U-M. Now, many times when we use a medicine name and I say something like, we use arnica. Arnica is actually two names. It's Arnica montana, but there aren't any other well-known arnicas. So we can count on everybody understanding that arnica is short for Arnica montana. But when it comes to Eupatorium, there are other kinds of Eupatoriums. So it's important that when we talk about this particular medicine, it's Eupatorium perfilatum. So the name of this medicine in common language is bone set. Sometimes it's called feverwort. And this is interesting because it will give us the clue as to how it's used. So I used to wildcraft this plant. And Perry, if you could put it up for me, that link, so everyone can see a picture of it. I used to wildcraft this plant because it grew wild in New York State on our land. I no longer live in New York State, nor do I have land. I simply have a little townhouse now. Life is much different for me. But at the time, I used to gather the plant and put it in a bottle, in a large amber bottle, and fill it up to the top with alcohol. And I would use either grain alcohol, such as just plain old grain alcohol, or you could use Devil's Spring. You could use vodka, high potency vodka, and it would protect it and make it into a tincture within about 2 weeks, called a fortnight. At the end of the fortnight, 2 weeks of being in this darkened bottle in a dark space, it then becomes available as a medicine. So I used to make, now these are small bottles, but these are the ones that I still have from when I used to do this. This one happens to be Echinacea, and I made that from the plants that I grew. This one is Ginkgo biloba, the tree that I planted. This one is Eupatorium from wildcrafting. This one is mullein, and that was wildcrafting as well. I made a lot of others, but I used to keep them, and we would use them as tinctures. But then I learned homeopathy, and I find that although herbs, botanicals are very valuable, that sometimes, often, making that plant, that tincture into homeopathic medicine, then adds a whole nother level. And so then we have, this is Eupatorium in a 200C. This is by Boron. And I don't know if you can see that, if I can turn it like that. Eupatorium 200C. Can you see it better if I hold my hand behind it? So everything is backwards for me, so. Eupatorium 200C. This medicine is great for flus. For a flu in which the bones feel like they're breaking, and there's a desire for the person to want to move because the bones ache and are so painful, very painful. But upon moving, there's no relief. Now, that's similar to a medicine that we know about aching and bones, mostly joints, but still in that region that wants to move, that has that restlessness. But it's the opposite. It makes them want to move, but upon movement and limbering up, they're a little bit better. I know you know what medicine I'm talking about. So tell me, let me know. I'd like to see how many folks get this. So that's how you distinguish, because that medicine that we're talking about, and I'll tell you what it is as soon as I get some responses here. That medicine is different from Eupatorium, and that is one of the distinguishing factors. So this particular medicine, this Eupatorium perfilatum, is specific for pain or feeling worse with a fever or pain in the bones periodically, or there's a kind of a specific time. There is every day it's approximately the same time, and it's particularly valuable between 7 and 9 in the morning, meaning that's the worst time of day for people who need this medicine, Eupatorium perfilatum. Let's see. So you can see a picture of it. Now, I want you to hit on that picture. I want you to be able to see it. Rhus tox, you bet. That's the other medicine. Rhus tox is also very good for flus in which there is pain in the joints and bones, and they feel restless. They want to move, and it hurts, and they're constantly shifting positions. And if they were to get up and move and limber up a little bit, it's not resolved. The pain is not resolved, but it is indeed calmed to a certain degree. It brings down the pain a little bit. In Eupatorium perfilatum, it's different. They want to move because they have this pain in their bones, but upon moving, it gives no relief. The pain in this medicine is aching, and it is particularly painful in the back. Remember this medicine as a back remedy, folks. And if you look at the picture, I hope you can see it. I'm going to go back up here. This picture in Wikipedia, if you can't see it well in this image, if you look closely, you'll see a great indicator that helps you know that this is Eupatorium. The plant grows up. It's a long stalk. They can get pretty tall. Actually, I've seen them even taller than me. Not a great feat. But they can grow pretty tall, maybe 4 feet, 5 feet. And it's a long center stem. And from the stem are other stems. Makes sense, right? But the leaves are unusual. The leaves are elongated like this. And the stem, it looks like the stem pokes right through the leaf that continues on to the other side. It's a really strange leaf formation and stem ratio or stem configuration. So if you could blow up that image or go to Wikipedia and look at it and look closely at it, that one in particular has a picture of a bee on it. But you can see how the stem almost perforates the leaves that come right through. It's as though the leaves came and the stem stuck through it. It's very interesting the way that's done. And to me, it looks like a back, a spine, and then the arms protruding outward or extending outward, I should say. And it's easy to remember this medicine or this herb because of this particular characteristic as far as I'm concerned. That's the way I learned it when I was studying botanicals. Now, it can be used in tincture form, which would mean that after it's been decanted, after it was put to settle for 2 weeks, a fortnight, then you decant it and you put it in dark bottles, label it. This is old. I mean, this label is so old. I'm going to say this is probably from the late 80s, but I keep mine forever. And because I didn't end up using them all. You could squeeze it, you could open it up. My God, it probably hasn't been opened since the 80s. Holy goodness sakes. And you squeeze the pipette and draw up a dose. And a dose is generally, we're talking about the botanical dose now, is generally about 20 drops. And then you can put it into water and drink it down or put it directly into the mouth. But tonight, we're not going to be talking about how to use it that way as much as we're going to be using it as a 200C potency. So when someone gets a flu, we're going to use Eupatorium perfilatum 200C and use it especially when there's so much pain. This is a very painful medicine, meaning it represents someone who has a lot of pain. The medicine doesn't cause the pain. The medicine relieves the pain. We can use this every 3-4 hours because the pain is going to be so intense, and especially in the beginning when the pain is prominent, we're going to use it frequently. There can also be vomiting, and often there's vomiting of bile, and often the person has pain in the stomach until they vomit, or until the vomiting is complete. Then the pain is ameliorated, and so there's a restlessness, but not better from motion. Also, there's aching in the back that is very, very intense. And that aching remember the stem now, the way the stem, think of it as a spine, aching in the back, almost as though it's piercing through these elongated leaves that are opposite of each other, exactly opposite of each other. As you see that going through, you'll remember that this has aching in the back. And there can also be aching in the back that is made better from vomiting. So vomiting, being able to vomit and vomit thoroughly and empty the stomach can often be the indicator for the need for this medicine, Eupatorium perfilatum. It's worse from cold air. The person is very chilly. In fact, the chilliness is prominent quite prominent. A lot of times people say, well, I'm chilly with the flu, but I can get warmed up. But it's hard for them to get warmed up. If they need this medicine, it's hard for them to get warmed up. Bone pain, there's moaning with the aching. So the person, if you're observing it, they're moaning, oh, my back, oh, my bones. It doesn't have to be only the back. It can be wrists. It can be any bone, but just any area of the body in the bone structure. But specifically the back, the neck, the shoulders are very painful. And so this is a plant that can be very useful in that kind of pain. And it can also be useful when we're talking about a flu. And do we know that it's influenza? We don't need to have it identified necessarily or verified by a medical doctor. If someone feels very sick, they have a fever, they're vomiting, or if they're not vomiting, or perhaps it's an adult and they don't have fever. Often adults don't get fevers, but they have this tremendous pain in their bones. I would think of either Eupatorium perfilatum or Rhus tox. Then you want to differentiate between the two, and you're going to use Eupatorium perfilatum if upon that restlessness they move over and over and over, nothing is relieving it, whereas with Rhus tox, limbering the bones and the joints up gives them at least a little freedom from severe pain. Okay. People are asking about sinus infections. I've discussed that on my blog. This is something different. We're talking about flu tonight. You might want to check that. Always check my blog. And if you don't find it on my blog, do this. Go to your browser, Joette Calabrese Sinus Infections, because I've written for others' blogs. I authored a column for 10 years in Wise Traditions. Yes, Rhus tox, very good, Cindy. Doris, you bet. Lorica, Cinda, all of these people got Rhus tox correct. Joanne, Rachel, very, very good. All right, keep going. Elvira, yep, very nice, very, very nice. Lots of correct answers here. I love that you know this. It's very important. Elaine, hi. No, for Rhus tox, then it's not worse from movement. It's worse from first movement and better from limbering up from that movement. So you're right. It's a good point. Rhus tox is worse from first movement. Ow, 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 ow. Oh, okay. Okay, it's not so painful anymore. Now there's rest. Person's resting. They rest for about half an hour. They're seated in the car for a road trip. Ow, ow, ow. First movement. Ow, ow. Okay, now I'm limbering up. Okay, it's a little better now. Okay, it may not be gone, but it's a little better. That is Rhus tox. Like a rusty gate, says Linda. You've got it. You've absolutely got it. Yes, Mary says, try clicking on Joette's Wikipedia link for the picture. It's there. We've posted it a few times. Perry's posted it. All right. 1M saved me a couple years ago when all I could do was walk the floor with no relief. The pain melted away in minutes. For Eupatorium 1M, she used a 1M. You could use a 1M. I like to start with 200s or 30s generally, especially for someone who's rather new. I think it's a good idea. Plus, you have a kit, and the kit has it in a 200 generally. And you can just use your kit. Absolutely. Thank you. Very nice thoughts. Thank you for your kind words, Karen. Michelle, can Eupatorium help with dengue fever? It's not the remedy I think of for dengue fever, but, well, wait a minute. Dengue fever does have, yes, dengue fever has fever and bone pain. It possibly can. It's not the one I learned when I was studying in India, but it's certainly good for malaria and any febrile disease. So yeah, dengue is a febrile disease. Yes, I would definitely consider it. Especially, look, we're not talking about mild bone pains. We're talking about Oh my gosh, somebody help me. This is horrible. I used it too, said someone, with my granddaughter. It seemed to work really well. And you bet. And let's see, here it is again. I'm running down and here it is. It's from the Wikipedia. Just click on it and you'll be able to see that stem that goes right through the center of the elongated leaves. Strange looking plant when you analyze it. It's ubiquitous. Walking in the pastures in my property and up to the woods, it was everywhere. So my children and I did what we should do. We harvested. Pain of the flu settled in my neck and the back of my head. I really appreciating sharing it. Yes, try it. Absolutely try this. And then you use it. People always say, well, so for how long do I use that? And I say, for as long as you need it. In other words, when it's resolved, you stop. Remember, these are not supplements. Supplements are the things and vitamins. They say, oh, just keep taking it. No. This is medicine regulated by the FDA on a federal level, which that's what it means. And so these are medicines and they're regulated as medicines. And so you take them as a medicine. You don't take a medicine forever. You take it until you're better or until the medicine has stopped acting. In other words, if you find that it helps along the way and it helps with the bone pain and the fever, and much of the vomiting, but you're still not right, and you keep taking it and it's still not right, and you're into, say, day 2 or day 3 of taking this medicine, now you have to look at what remains now. What's happening at this moment? The pains in the back, the pains in the neck and the bones have subsided. The pain in the vomiting is much ameliorated. The fever is gone, but I still feel sick. Then you have to say, what kind of sickness? I'm fatigued. I am so fatigued. Then we go to a medicine that is specific for fatigue. Now, I don't want you to get the impression that we're going to abandon Eupatorium perfilatum just because there's fatigue, and I haven't described that yet, or at all. We're abandoning Eupatorium perfilatum because it has done its job. It's gone as far as it can, and the way you know that is that you've taken it over and over and over, and now you're on day 2, day 3. You've taken it another solid day. There's no improvement at all. No improvement at all. Now you put it aside and start with something else that is specific for fatigue. Thank you, Barbara. Love all this information. You're welcome, Amber. Would you use belladonna for other flu symptoms? Would you use belladonna for other symptoms? I don't think of belladonna for flu symptoms in general. Belladonna is for high fevers, which is more common in children, and for pain, certainly. But this is so specific. Belladonna is a little broader picture. I would go with something more like this if there was pain. Okay. Oh, that makes rhus tox easy to remember. You bet. Rusty Gate rhus tox. We'll be talking more about rhus tox. We're only in the E's in my Materia Medica. We got to get to the R's before we get to rhus tox, and I'll give you plenty more information about rhus tox when we get to the R's. Can these medicines be dissolved in water to be taken? I get thrush from dissolving the pellets in my mouth. They work, but hoping I can do without the yeast infection. I get rush from dissolving the pellets. Okay. That means we need to deal with that thrush in the mouth. There's no doubt about it. And I do have something, I believe, on my blog about oral thrush, but you do want to check that. They can be put in water, and in that case, you might want to just use, say, an ounce, a little less than an ounce, and put a dose in there and take that. It can be done that way. You can purchase homeopathic medicines in lactose, in sucrose, in lactose sucrose in a combination. You can buy it in water and you can buy it in alcohol. Now, it's not readily found in water and alcohol unless you're a student or a client of mine, and then you can get it from a pharmacy that sells only to students and clients. So I'm in the middle of a flu and now have a sinus infection. I'm using the Banerjee's protocol found on your blog. You bet. And if you were to have a sinus infection, ow, painful, sore, mucus, maybe even dizzy, it's clear that it's a sinus infection, and you have severe bone pain in the back, high fever and vomiting, you could take both. You could take the Banerjee protocol for sinus infections or use what I taught on the blog. And you could use Eupatorium. You don't take them at the same moment. You might alternate them by about 5 minutes apart. Okay. Unfortunately, my black 200 kit does not have Eupatorium, and my health food store only had it in 1M. Well, sure, use it in 1M if that's all you've got. But you can get it on Amazon. I know many people are not crazy about Amazon, and I tend to agree, but I must admit it is awfully convenient. Can you take this for pain like this that is not flu? Yes. Yes, you may. We're talking about flu tonight, but yes, indeed, it can be used for extreme bone pain. Absolutely. Gelsemium versus Eupatorium. Gelsemium has more to do with weakness and exhaustion and anxiety. And whereas Eupatorium perfilatum doesn't cover necessarily anxiety, and it doesn't really even cover fatigue. If it does, it's minor. It's a minor aspect. All righty. Let's just see if we've got everything covered. I'm sure I didn't answer everyone's question because I had to shoot down. I love your blog and use it all the time. I'm so glad to hear that. Listen, folks, if you can join a study group, I cannot tell you how valuable that would be for you. Consider going to my website, my front page, and click on Gateway 1 and learn how to join a study group remotely or in your own home. It's so inexpensive. I can never remember how much it is. I want to say it's $57 for the book and the opportunity to work with a group of people 8 weeks in a row. It is excellent. You will be building your community. And what's so fascinating is you meet people from Peru and from New Zealand and from England and from Oklahoma and New Hampshire and Louisiana, and they become your friends. Friends who are studying like you are, friends who may be ahead of you in study, so you can ask for information from each other. You can ask for what books are you reading, what courses are you taking, etc. And also, there's just as much pleasure in helping someone else. I just took Eupatorium, and it helped me so much with this terrible flu. For someone who says, I got a terrible flu and my back is aching, you can teach them. So there's a lot of pleasure in this. It's, as I always say, and I never tire of saying this, homeopathy is intellectually delicious. Because you're learning, you're growing, it touches us on so many human levels, being able to help others, learning from others, making friends, listening closely to your family, listening to their sufferings, getting to know your children, staying relevant in your adult children's lives, being a part of your grandchildren's lives, taking care of wildlife, pets, livestock, even plants. You can treat plants and trees with homeopathy, folks, and we'll talk about that at some point. But for now, I am going to say goodnight because we're already at 1/2 the hour, and I always promise myself it's only going to be 20 minutes. I never do it. And so with that, please share this with folks. I want everyone to know about this. This is important stuff. And with that, I say I'll see you next Monday, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. God bless all of you. It's always great to meet up with you. Bye, everyone.